Okay, hold on. We're, we're gonna start our meeting now, but with Robin talking about bees in our apiary. Go ahead, Robin, please.
All right. And the other one is a fully professional company. Aviol is their name. And the council, in talking about it, realized we probably want a professional person there because that way there's less effort from the town in managing the beehive.
From what standpoint?
Well, everything from, does Elizabeth Harris produce the signs or do we put the signs up?
We've already put signs up.
No. But you should see what happens. Aviol has a whole set of signs. This is that are professional and show aspects of what bees do on the signs like that. We're never going to do anything like that. The other thing is that if we need somebody to come, the professionals are there and we can call them, if something's happened. But Elizabeth's a volunteer and it's not necessarily, we can't reach her that way. And the professionals
can't what? I didn't hear that last part.
Necessarily reach Elizabeth quickly if there's an emergency, if there's something that happens that we've got to reach them. The professionals are on hand to do that, whereas Elizabeth isn't. These are the kind of things that we're saying maybe we should use a professional. But let me run through some of the things Aviol is saying they'll do for us. You'll see why there's a real choice.
And they're the ones that are offering to do it for $8,000 a year.
$8,400, but that includes, first of all, obviously the hive, professional signs, which really look a whole lot better than our homemade things. The communications package that we can use to advertise it to the town. They do built into that 8,400 is one workshop or community engagement workshop a year in which they come and present on bees to the town. It may be a tour of the hive, it may be another talk, but they do that. And they throw in 100 jars of honey from the hive with our own brand of honey, Somerset honey, in other words. So you look at that.
Elizabeth can do all. Okay, finish up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you look at all that and you go, that's a whole lot better than what we see in Elizabeth's proposal, frankly. And at the $12,000 level, they throw in a domestic bee hotel, which is sort of nesting for domestic bees, and a second community engagement workshop. So, and then there's the third proposal, which is the recommended by the Montgomery Beehive Beekeepers Association, like Backyard Bees or whatever his company is, but and that's for 2,400 or something like that. So the dilemma, I mean, we're going back to the work session as we try to work it out, but so it's, what do you guys think is where it's coming from? Why I'm saying this.
Okay, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we just bring the meeting to order and then we'll just talk about it as our first item? Can we do that?
Sure.
So let's bring the meeting to order. And before we start, I'd like to just approve our minutes from December 8th, 2022, which I sent to you guys. If you have any comments, please say so now. If not, can I ask somebody to motion in a second and we can vote on that? Okay, I can't hear you, Patty. Turn your mic on.
I motion a second.
Okay, we have Did someone motion?
Oh.
Second, okay. All in favor, raise your hands. Okay, unanimous. Okay, so let's continue with the conversation about the bees, which Robin has already. Go ahead, Robin.
I just forgot one thing they also do. They have a website, My Hive, I think it's called, where you get your own account. So the town gets its own account where you can check, the beekeeper will post on the status of the bees periodically, and so you can look that up and see where things are. That it is a full professional service. So that's the dilemma we're in at the moment. So
okay, well, I'll just respond quickly. My relationship with Elizabeth is, she has, I don't know what her proposal said, but she's definitely willing to create honey for the town. And we put those signs up for safety, but I'm sure for less than $8,000 we can put up different signage that is. I actually already made a designed a sign with information about bees that I thought is appropriate. It's actually, where is that sign? It's about where is it? It's somewhere in here. It'll take me a moment to find. Oh, here it is. Yeah. So we already made a sign actually about bees, and about getting. I can send it to you again, but basically it's information that we would post about bees. That was written up by who put it together? I think it was one of the people from the bee forum, Zoom forum that we had. So I mean, yes, it's not a professional service that charges a lot of money, and I understand that we're a town and we want to do everything sort of by the books, but I mean, she is completely competent and really will be really engaged in this, and she's been with us along the process, so there's no cracks in her ability to perform, and it's also, we're asking for like a year type of trial period to see whether or not she does what she says she can do. And she's just a reminder, everybody, she was renting the house 2 doors up from me on Dorset, in the big house that Maya Wheel owns, and she raised bees there for 6 years. So she has a lot of experience with bees, particularly here, but also she continues to work with bees. So she's not like an amateur in the sense that this is like a new thing for her. But so, I mean, my feeling that I've felt from our committee is that, it'd be nice to give her that opportunity. I don't think there's any risk to the town. And I think that it would be really great to have one of our own doing it. But go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm able to process all those numbers, and I guess I came in a little late on when you're some of the presentation, but it seems like, what are we getting for 8,400? We're basically 100 jars. Let's say they're worth $15 each. So that's all right. That's 1,500 right there. And then we're getting some signs, and we're getting a public meeting. Let's say, all right, say the person's 200, per hour for public meeting. Let's say it's 2 hours. That's $400.
And Patty's also offered to do that too.
If you start doing the math, it seems like that person's making and then for bees, you need to show up every so often,
2 days a week.
It's not a full-time job. Basically, you need to kind of come, and check on them about every week or 2 weeks. So It's really not a major time sink in terms of need for having extra time. Just seems to me that, and the last point is that anyone who's a beekeeper, especially someone like Elizabeth or any other beekeepers, they've gone through training, they've become certified beekeepers, and so they're not amateurs. These are people who have a passion to do it and they have knowledge about it. So I don't understand what makes someone a professional except for they can charge a high fee.
Mm-hmm. And also, Patty, thank you, Dave, for your comments. And 1 second, Ralph. Patty did say that she can also would be happy to do a talk, but she said it was not going to be at the site because that's not safe.
You mean Elizabeth, not Patty.
Elizabeth. I'm sorry, Elizabeth. Okay. And also keep in mind, Elizabeth lives on Drummond now, right where right next to the school. Like you go up through that alley. So if anybody is going to be available on an emergency basis, she's right there. She lives right there. So, I mean, that's where she would be very capable of just, coming immediately, like anyone. Anyway, go ahead, Ralph.
Hang on a second. I've got my phone ringing.
Barton, what would happen if she's on vacation and there's an issue?
That's a good question. I don't have an answer, but I think we could find an alternate. I already know a couple beekeepers nearby, one who's very capable and is like in charge of the beekeepers of Montgomery County. She lives like in Edgemoor, like right across Bradley Boulevard from where, when you go into Edgemoor, it's like 2 blocks in.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Dave. I mean, Ralph.
For several years, I was a member of the Montgomery Beekeepers Association. And it was, I don't know if there was anybody working for it for pay, but there were hundreds probably of volunteers, including in our county was unique in that I think at the time we had 6 master beekeepers, which nobody else in the world had. Lots of very qualified people, but their main purpose was to encourage beekeeping. So it seems interesting that they have a beekeeper who's a member of the association, and they seem to be competing with one of their own members. I think Elizabeth has been working with us patiently, which is more than we deserve, for years, and we've been throwing obstacle after obstacle, or somebody has been. And I would feel very wrong about shutting her out at this point when it's just about to get off the ground. As far as vacation, she probably knows a dozen beekeepers that she could ask to fill in for her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you, Ralph. I mean, I also heard from Matt that this company that charges this also was only going to put in one apiary box, versus Elizabeth is planning to put in at her own expense like 5 or 6 boxes of bees. So, I mean, the impact on pollination in our region will be 5-fold or 6-fold, which is really what this is all about. It's about pollinating the region. And, what was I just talking to? I think it was my daughter in Israel. She said that like everywhere she goes, she sees apiaries everywhere. Everybody has a bee box everywhere. It's like, that's what you do. So I'm really proud that our town is finally going to be taking this step to be a part of this, world movement to repollinate our planet, as our insect population is being decimated.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm hearing from you, strong support for Elizabeth. She did not write a strong application, I will say.
Oh, I'm sorry.
None of this material that you're giving me is in her application. And I'll see what we can do on Monday. Do
you think it'd be worth our while, Robin, for myself or environment
for somebody to be there to speak up? It's technically we are supposed to look at the proposals to judge the quality of the work. They are differently priced, so that gives us some freedom. And obviously Elizabeth is the lowest cost. It is some cost to us because we've got to pay for insurance for her, but it is the lowest cost.
Mm-hmm.
But in any case, it might be good for someone to come to the meeting and speak up
on Monday at 8.
No, I think it's work session is 5:30. I think
5:30, and I unfortunately am.
Oh well, we actually sorry, it's a budget meeting, so it is after the budget meeting. Yeah, so it's later. So, okay, I'll give you the details. I'll look it up and I'll send you.
Okay. I am going out with my father.
Question.
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to know, what's the name of the company that was, the professionals that, you know, were,
Alveole, ALVE, acute, OLE, alveole. You can Google them. I think they got a website. And they're in multiple cities. They're fairly big, actually.
Okay.
And there's like backyard birders and something like that. Who's local? He's Montgomery County. If I can find it, I'm looking.
Is
Backyard apiaries is what he calls himself. Backyard apiaries.
Do any of you guys have time to go to that meeting on Monday? Because I'm going to be with my father, who's like 88, and he's invited me to an event that I cannot back out of.
I can't, I'm in St. Paul right now and won't be back till Tuesday.
I'll be in New York.
Ralph?
It is, well, you can zoom in. I mean,
Right now.
we are in person.
I'll be at a board meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, same here. You know, by Zoom.
Ralph, do you think you could help out the
I can
cause?
do it. Yeah, I can be there.
And I can also ask Elizabeth to be there too, Robin, if that's helpful.
It would be helpful. It would have been helpful if she'd been
That'd be
there at the council meeting, actually. So yeah.
I'm not sure she was ever invited to come. Maybe she was.
Yeah.
So what time should she come on Monday approximately?
Yeah, let me check my calendar on that because I'm
Okay.
budget meeting
And I can send you some bullet points, Ralph, just a little cheat sheet for you to, have in front of you. Okay. All right. Can we move on? I'll just show you the,
oh yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Work session is going to be on the 20th now. We've moved it because of the budget work session. So it's on the 20th. It's the following Monday.
okay. Well, I can be at that one.
All right. Good.
So, unless someone else wants to come with me, I'll be happy to do it.
And that's at the regular time, which is 5:30 start.
What time?
5:30, though I don't know when this will be discussed. There'll be an agenda for it, and you can see.
Okay, we'll fine tune that time later. Okay, let's move on. If it's okay. There are a bunch of stuff that I would love to share with you and talk about and maybe make some decisions on. Okay, this is the agenda. Just going to get, so I'm just going to go through a couple of these things really quickly. The solar panel Zoom discussion.
Could you magnify it a little bit? Just,
Okay, one second.
Page, zoom in a bit.
Yeah, 1 second. Is that better or more? More? Okay. How's that?
That's good.
Is that okay for everybody?
Yes.
Okay. So solar panels, I was asked by a neighbor, Alan Dock. He said it would be great if somebody we could have a Zoom session or meeting to talk with people who have installed solar panels in our neighborhood, just share their stories and just sort of get their other neighbors, excited about, taking that big step towards, actually getting going with their own solar project. So Alex Thier, who wrote the last month's Town Journal article in our Sustainability Corner column, has offered to do that. And also I thought maybe to reach out to other residents that are interested in sharing their story and having like a panel discussion, like as a Zoom session. So anybody want to chime in about whether they like that or not like that idea?
I think it's a great idea. I bet George Wyeth would be interested too, and he's got panels.
I have had panels since 2009.
Yeah.
So I could be on that panel.
Awesome.
I've had them since 2015. So
Okay, so you'll be there too. Okay, so maybe Patty, if you want to reach out to, you said Wyeth?
Yeah, George Wyeth.
George Wyeth. I was thinking about having this thing on the 23rd, 2 weeks from today. Is that too quick, or like same time on the 23rd?
8 o'clock, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll ask George. who should, I'll just see if he's willing to, or available and willing.
Right.
Will do.
We'll just basically have a Zoom call like we're having right now, and we'll just let people speak and have it informal. And I'll disseminate the information to the town on the listserv and send it MailChimp out and
Yep.
get people to come.
Okay.
Does that sound good? Anybody else want to make a comment? Okay, great. Yeah.
Hold on. It's just, I mean, just looking at, there's a, anyway,
Something.
there's actually a competing thing on that night, that I was hoping to attend, which is, this is, Solar United Neighbors is having a session about adding battery storage to, solar and talking about that, all the specifics on that on the 23rd. So I had
Okay.
hoped to attend that.
What time is that?
8.
Okay. Do you want to, should we try for the Wednesday? Or is that some committee meeting? I don't know. Maybe Robin knows that.
I have to go to my calendar for that.
How about a week later on the 30th?
Yeah, that's gonna be a little bit busy for me because my daughter's coming back from Israel and I need to be around.
And I'm flying out of the country at that time, so not good.
22nd, as long as it's like at 8, I have an event I'm going to all day, but it probably ends at 4 in Leesburg. I can be back.
Okay. Why don't we try for the 22nd? And Robin, if you find something out, can you just email me tomorrow and we'll then have to look for an alternative?
Yeah, the 23rd has no committee meetings on it at the moment that I can see. 22nd, I have a meeting that finishes at 7:30. So if you're doing it at 8 o'clock, I can make it, I guess.
Okay. All right. That'd be great. Okay. So we'll make it for the 22nd, pending that, of course, we can get the people to commit as well. All right. Moving on. Let's just skip the fireplaces for a second, and I'll just give you an update, or maybe Robin can give an update on the LED lights. Were you at that meeting today, Robin, at noon?
I was, yes.
Can you give us a little bit, just the committee members, whatever information you want to share?
Sure, yeah. We're going ahead with LED streetlights. They are going to be 3,000 Kelvin, and the reason for that is that Pepco only offers 3,000 Kelvin at the moment. We've asked about 2,700K. They're not on their approved list yet. They are looking at them. And if at some future point we want to replace them to 2,700K, it's a fairly straightforward replacement. You just take out one and insert the other. There'll be a charge for it, but yes, they can do that. But it will.
You say a charge? Is it like a charge for a new bulb or?
Well, it's a charge for replacing for a new unit. They're integrated, so the whole head comes out of the Cobra head, and then you put the new head in. Is what happens. There isn't universal agreement on 2,700K being better than 3,000K. Actually, there's some.
You mean from an environmental bird standpoint, or from?
Well, it's. I mean, yes, there are some advantage. Well, it's not clear. The environmental advantages are not clear. There is more light in a 3,000K
fixture
than there is in a 2,700K fixture, which has an environmental advantage in another sense. But if we decide on 2,700K, as I said, they're not on offer at the moment, so we can't have them. So we're going to have to go with 3,000K. In terms of timing, we are hope we will be able to give them our they call it an invoice, our invoice in the next month. And if we can do that, I think they'll start the installation this year. And be finished in early 24. So
that's awesome.
Here is basically.
So you put the 3,000K bulb in there, and then can you spin the dial to change the wattage of it? How does that work?
No, it's a fixed. These are primitive by LED standards lights. They have a single brightness.
So they're bringing 4 different types of bulbs, so 3,000.
Yes, there are 4. It's on offer at the moment are 2 streetlight versions, a 50 watt and a 70 watt version, or a 50 watt equivalent and 70 watt equivalent. They're not actually 50 watts and 70 watts. And for the intersections, it's a 100 watt equivalent and 150 watt equivalent. Most of the comments from residents have favored the 50 watt streetlight over the 70 watt streetlight, and the 100 watt intersection light over the 150 watt intersection light.
Okay, so those are the ones you're going to put in?
I expect so. I mean, the decision hasn't been made yet, but it looks like it's going that way, yes.
Okay, and then I guess worst case scenario, we put them all in, and then like we say, hey, this intersection needs more light. We're going to need to swap out this bulb and put a brighter in, or something like that. We will make those adjustments. Or
yes, we can do that. We can go up. Although I will say, to me, the 150 watt equivalent one is extremely bright.
okay,
So
you're pretty confident that this is a good first draft choice.
right, yes, and it actually also is what the county is doing for its lesser intersections, 100 watt things, and we don't have any 3-lane intersecting highway intersections in town. That's where they're using 150 watts.
Okay.
Actually, we do, but I'll be pedantic in that Little Falls and Dorset is in the town of Somerset. And that thing, you can play a night game of football at that intersection with the level of lumens they put in there.
Yep.
Does that compare with what we're getting?
We're getting the 100, not the 150 that Dave is speaking about.
So it's 150 at Little Falls Parkway?
What I mean, I'd have to look at that. And sorry, you see Little Falls Parkway, and my hackles rise immediately because that's
the what?
My hackles rise immediately because that's a matter of great controversy at the moment in the town.
With the
Linear Park.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But I don't know whether it's 100 watt or 150 watt. I'd have to go and look at it.
Okay.
It would be more than 150. It really is very, very bright.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on because we do have a lot to go through.
I did have just a basic question. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Robin, is this is Pepco now offering this as part of their street lighting tariff? The LED?
Yeah, it is on the tariff at a much lower rate than.
So that's why we're going this way, because we now can, before they didn't have it on the tariff, and therefore we would have to do our own change out. Right. And so now, because it's on the tariff, we can now, go ahead and choose them and as one of the choices. Is that what I'm hearing?
You can think of it that way. It's actually been on the tariff for a few years. It's just that they were snowing us 2 years ago because they were going before the PSC with the request to install LED lights in all of their area. And that request was denied by the PSC because some of the towns said they didn't want LEDs and gave good reasons why they didn't want LEDs, as in they had just installed induction lights, in fact. And so once that had been denied and Pepco realized they couldn't do it that way, they then suddenly were much more open to us, and that's when the negotiations started.
All right. Well, I'm glad finally that we got to this point, because I've been, working on streetlight issue for over a decade.
And
I
so
was
have
on some of the initial committees. So I'm happy to see we finally got it. Alan Proctor would be so proud.
Yeah, he's looking down on us.
Right.
Okay. So, and I understand there's actually some pilot lights up right now.
Yes, there are. There are 4. Actually, they're going to come down pretty soon, so hurry over there.
Where are they?
They're on Little Cumberland. One is on the corner of Deal and Cumberland. That's the 150 watt one that you'll notice early because it's a very bright light.
Okay.
One is on the road into the tennis courts, and that's the 100-watt
Okay.
one. And then the two street lights are on Little Cumberland. There's a 70-watt and a 50-watt, and they're pretty easy to recognize when you get there.
How
They're
about the set that's
toward,
on?
they're closer to Wisconsin Avenue, or
There's one of them is between the road along the tennis courts and Deal, and the other one is much closer to Wisconsin.
okay, thank you.
What about the ones on Dorset that were put in years ago? Are they being replaced?
They're going to be replaced. They are still working, obviously, but they are going to be replaced.
And will they address, like, I know Kathy Picard was totally upset because they were not focused, away from the houses. Is that could be addressed?
There are two. Initially, they're just going to be plugged in, but then there's going to be a request later on for shields. There is a back shield that they can put in that would make Kathy Picard happy, I'm sure, because it would stop the light bleeding towards her house.
Okay. Sounds like unbelievable development. I'm so tickled pink, if that's an expression we're still allowed to use.
I said I will cheer when they're actually in, but it looks like it's going to happen now. Yes.
That's great. Okay, I'm going to hop on to another topic, a little bit, another easy one, and then we're going to go back to the fireplaces. But this is can you read this, guys? This is like the Somerset Declaration of Sustainability that will be all like on our website. I've been talking to Atsuko about her inclusivity committee that wanted originally to have a combined declaration, but then she has since sort of said they're going to just do it on their own. So this is this is like my most recent draft, which I'll just read to you. But I thought just to have a general declaration and then sort of a list of our accomplishments that we would continue to add to as we accomplish stuff, because I think it's really helpful for people who are new or existing residents to see all the things that are happening and have reminders of, how special our town is. And for other towns to come to our website and be able to take notes so that they can piggyback and do the same legislation that we're doing. So I'll just read it out loud. Somerset Declaration of Sustainability. The town of Somerset is focused on creating a sustainable town and becoming carbon neutral, aligning itself with the 2015 Paris Climate Agreement by reducing 50% of its CO2 emissions by 2030 and 100 by 2050. Towards this goal, Somerset has declared a climate emergency, has signed the Maryland mayor's 100% clean energy pledge, and has signed the fossil fuel non-proliferation treaty. Accomplishments. The town of Somerset has opted into Montgomery County's ban of lawn pesticides. It's in 2021. And requirement for all electric new construction, 2026, has banned the use of gas-powered blowers. 2022 uses up to 60% less salt on streets during snowstorms. 2022 has a free compost program for its residents. 2025, I'm not sure whether that's the right date, and has created a town apiary in its forest. 2023, a home for bees to help pollinate the immediate region. In the works are solar panels for the town hall and pool. 2024, LED lights for the entire town. 2024, a new electric truck for the town. 2024, which is just heard about, and a ban of the use of plastics for all town events. 2023. So
Yeah,
again, this is like something for the website. And other.
I need to make one technical correction. Yes, we did opt into the ban of lawn pesticides, but we didn't opt into the requirement for all electric new construction because that's part of building codes, and we are automatically built into their building codes. So there's no opting in; it just happens.
Okay.
We have to opt out if we don't like it.
Okay, so in that case, I'll just remove it because it's nothing unique to our town.
That's true.
So I'm just going to remove it.
We did ban pesticides on town lawn, on the town,
Yeah.
and planted only native trees back, a decade ago.
Right.
But it's not really part of sustainability necessarily.
Well, sustainability is like creating a sustainable world. So I mean,
Right. But,
It's-
but we plant native, native trees for town trees.
Well, then we should probably add that. So we've been planning, I'll just put.
Yeah.
Um,
In at least a decade that we've switched.
planting native trees, native trees and plants.
Mhm.
And use sustainable practices on our town lands.
Sustainable practices on our town land.
Yeah, lands, what town land? I mean, parks and lawns.
Parks and lawns, and that's, should we put like 2013?
It was
Yeah,
about then. I was just starting. I remember I came late into it. You and Jeff late for doing it, and Jeff fell out because we said we weren't going to ban all pesticides because we couldn't ban all pesticides. Remember that?
yes, I do remember that very well. But yeah, I don't remember exactly what date it was.
Yeah, all right.
I'll see if I can pull it.
Okay, so does anyone have any other comments about this list? I mean, this is going to be a dynamic thing, so it's not like set in stone. We can always revise it, but this is just we're at the starting line on this.
Barton, would you please send me you've been making changes as you go, send me the final of what we
Okay.
did tonight, and I'll put that in the minutes.
Okay. All right. Can I have a motion to vote to, or,
So I just have, perhaps I'm maybe stumbling over the title.
Okay.
It's to me, a declaration is a kind of, we're doing something, or we declare something, some
Right.
action. And so I would suggest maybe a change to saying Somerset, a sustainable town, or something like that.
Okay.
A town that believes in sustainability or something, something that makes it more kind of, because what we have here is
Yes.
a list of our accomplishments,
Okay. Do you have an idea? A sustainable town, or
Yeah.
you like that?
That's the first one that came to me, but I'm not wedded to it.
Anybody have any comments on Dave's recommendation? Like I said, we can
Well,
always
yeah,
change
I
it.
mean, well, Dave's right that we don't want it to aim at the future as well as the past. It's kind of, I think, what he's saying behind that.
Mhm.
So, just being a sustainable town doesn't mean resting on your accomplishments. It means being forward-looking.
Or a town
Yeah, I like that.
striving to be sustainable. How about that? I mean, that way we're not, we're not a sustainable town. Let's be honest.
All right.
I mean, if we compare it to, these African communities that, they're like, a 100th of the footprint that we're doing. So we're really far away from being a sustainable town.
Get rid of the first sustainable on the list.
That's better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm fine with, some tweaking to probably be done with it. I'm fine with it.
Any other comments? Okay, someone on a motion to accept this?
I move.
Second, anyone? Patty,
Second.
thank you. Okay, all in favor, just raise your hands. Okay, unanimous, excellent. Okay, great. I'll send this to you, Ralph. Okay, let's back up and we'll talk about fireplaces. So let me bring this agenda thing back up on the board. And so basically, I have a friend who is a developer. He develops and creates homes. And he's also a part of the committee that created that legislation that is going to be enacted at the end of 2026, the all electric construction legislation. And basically he said that, they decided not to include banning of fireplaces because there's just too much to do in one entity. So they decided instead of banning gas lines into people's houses and banning they exempted gas fireplaces and gas grills, because they said if they it was a bad argument, but basically, you know, if we don't allow people to use gas in their fireplaces, then they're going to use their wood fireplace and create more pollution. That was their argument for exempting gas fireplaces. You know, you're probably, you know, I'm not so thrilled about that, but you know, we have they have no plans to ban wood fireplaces for new construction, and that's sort of what I wanted to bring to the committee, a discussion about whether or not we should consider asking the town council to not allow new construction homes to include wood fireplaces. I open it up to discussion.
All wood? I mean, you know, there are some cleaner versions, pelletized, you know, wood and things like that, you know, so we're very efficient. So I'm just wonder about that.
And wood stoves are very efficient.
That too.
Well, they're efficient. I mean, I heard that like 80 to 90% of the heat in a wood fireplace goes up the chimney.
That's not a wood stove.
Correct. But I also know that wood stoves put out a lot of particulate material, which are especially, they're really bad health hazards related to that. And that's the reason why I personally thought it was something that would be important to discuss. I mean, I know that there are towns that have banned the use of wood fireplaces around the country. I happen to know that Vail, Colorado, which is a ski resort in Colorado, they suffered for many years with just a smog in their town from the wood burning fireplaces, and now it's outlawed, so people only can use gas. And I know it's done elsewhere. So open it up for comments. I don't know about the pellets, whether that removes the particulate for wood burning, because pellets are made out of wood still. Dave.
Right. I don't know. I'd have to, you know, have a lot more thought about this, you know, before I would agree to it. I think that, you know, your example of Vail and such, you know, perhaps some of the other towns is probably because they're in valleys and where there's an inversion and smog can happen. And
Right.
I think that, you know, I don't think necessarily we have the same, you know, meteorological situation here. So I'm not sure what's the driver besides, you know, a general sense of particulates, which I think we need to make sure that don't happen. And then this is from just total, you know, hearsay, or from what I've heard is that many of the more efficient stoves and such do have some form of a filter. You know, that
Wood
does
burning
catch a lot of
stoves. Well, I'm just talking about fireplaces. I'm not talking about wood burning stoves. But you know, I wanted to show you something here. I mean, just to give you an idea, this is just something I found an article in the Guardian today. Let me just pull it up here 1 second. It's really quite interesting. Okay, so it analyzed here. Let me show you this, just to show you what's going on in the world. So this article, can you see this? It basically shows all the hotspots of pollution around the country and talks about why certain areas of the country are worse than others. And the stories, you know, Bakersfield, California has a lot of industry. LA has that sort of valley phenomenon. And everything has in the hotspots in Lancaster because it's a major truck corridor. And then you get down into DC and you start to see interesting things about our town. Now, we happen to be in a really, this is DC, and you can see Friendship Heights Village. This area right here is, that's Friendship Heights in DC. That has an elevated pollution count versus across the border where we live, right here. I think it actually shows, yeah, there's Somerset. And you can see the whole east side, you know, it's really interesting. We're in a really clean area, and a lot of it has to do with because we're a tree city, and we, you know, the pollution is, you know, the traffic is minimal. So, you know, we live with clean air, and it would be nice for us to make it cleaner, because that's just going to make us healthier as people. But so this is a really interesting article about where the hot spots in this country. But DC was not one of the top 10 pollution places, but you know, that's for different reasons. And it'd be great to continue that tradition and keep us, and not have to wait till we get into a polluted area to say, hey, we need to fight it. You know what I mean? But we can proactively do things to keep our town clean. So anyone else want to make a comment about that? Go ahead, Ralph.
When we banned the pesticides, it was, you know, a clear environmental issue that doesn't really affect anybody's lifestyle. When we banned gas-powered leaf blowers, actually we're all having a better quality of life because of it, and nobody's really hurt. What we seem to be doing here is banning behavior. You know, just in the few minutes we've been talking, you know, fireplaces, then there are efficient ones, then there are wood stoves. Nobody's mentioned the backyard fireplaces that everybody seems to have now, and the ones that look like stainless steel kettles. I think that might be something to educate people on. You know, don't have as many fires, don't have as much.
Certainly that.
Try to get more efficient wood burning capabilities, but I don't think we as a society are ready for a ban on fireplaces.
Mm-hmm. Well, keep in mind, you know, I grew up saying, you know, the measure of a man is sort of how nice his lawn looks. I mean, that was sort of like my silly little motto. And, you know, so removing pesticides is a major step back from that behavioral mentality. I mean, you know, a green grass lawn and a white picket fence. I mean, that's like the part of the American dream. So, I mean, the fact that everyone has opted into this pesticide is, I think, a major behavioral shift as far as like, hey, we have to look at our lawns very differently. Go ahead, Dave.
So just a quick question is that if we're banning a wood-fired fireplace or wood burning, does that mean we're saying no chimneys?
No, you could have a gas burning fireplace.
You have to have a chimney for that too.
Right.
Yeah, it'd be the same. It would be the same chimney, and they put in.
But it's not. But what if it's what if someone wants a wood? I'm focusing on wood stoves. I apologize, but a wood stove probably has a different flue, than a gas fired flue in size and such. So
it's not.
No,
It looks exactly the same. You can do it. You can have a regular chimney. I have a gas insert to our wood burning fireplace, and it's exactly the same chimney. There is no flue whatsoever, because it's an enclosed system, but it goes right up through the same chimney.
You know, I will say, gas fires are carbon burning, of course, and they have gas has particulates coming from it that are associated with asthma, which is why part of the reason why gas stoves are being eliminated from new construction in Montana.
And you should always use your vents when you use the gas stoves.
You certainly should, yes. So it's not a clean picture. It's not from a polluting thing to a non-polluting thing, they are both polluting, in fact, and they both come with health risks.
Right.
So
I mean, I think the amount of particulates from wood fire is significantly higher than natural gas. But I mean, yes, natural gas is cleaner, but it does put out CO2. So you're right. It's basically reducing the health risk, but it's not getting rid of it for sure. And what Ralph said is, it'd be great to say, hey, everyone, the Environment Committee is asking everyone to consider reducing the number of fires that they create in their backyards and in their houses by 70%, and it's obviously up to you to decide how you're going to respond to that. I mean, it would make a huge difference in our town, more than, that would make more of a difference than doing this, banning it in new construction. But banning new construction has more sort of long-term behavioral shifts that are sort of more gentle and transitional.
But during COVID, when everybody had outdoor fires and it was cold and we could only be outside, it would have been terrible to have banned fires. I mean, it was an essential community building and social avenue. You have to leave some flexibility.
Well, I mean, what I said just before, it would be you consider reducing. I wasn't saying to enforce it all.
Right.
For sure. Dave, you realize you have a virtual hat on or something like that?
I know. It's the problem of the filter, I guess.
Okay, it's all right. I like it.
It's like you've got a beak.
A bamboo. Yeah.
So anyways, I think personally I think we should think about this. Perhaps take it up next meeting.
Okay, that's fair enough. Thank you.
And actually, I just want to make one comment, which is, this is what I've heard this from other folks, is that the loophole or the ability to provide still gas to gas grills and to gas fireplaces is basically means that once you have a gas line to your house, you can choose whatever you want to inside the house to be gas. So it's it is basically, it's just giving a carte blanche to people to continue to use gas appliances.
Right. That's after they have their house delivered with all electric. You can retrofit it back in later.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so let's move on to the next conversation, which is the conversation about banning gas-powered weed whackers. So we brought this up many moons ago. We decided to wait on this topic until the leaf blower ban was sort of in place. Do you think it's still too early to talk about this idea, or do you have interest in discussing it? I mean, we obviously already know that the weed whacker is, again, a two-stroke engine, and the job can very easily be performed by a battery-powered one. There's very little, these machines are used very little, you know what I mean? But they're nasty with emissions, more emissions than sound, but open for discussion again.
Don't you? I would think that once they get the battery packs, they'll switch automatically. I think it's sort of it would come with a package.
I mean, I would like to hope you're right, but they've been talking for decades about how our economy will naturally become more sustainable.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's just the natural course of action, but that doesn't seem to be has proven itself over and over that that's not the way our world works.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dave.
So I guess my question is, and this, how much are these used in town?
I mean, they're part of, people do it for edging. They use it for edging. I mean, compared to the blowers, it's, the nuisance is much smaller, but the smell is wafting, that, I mean, I'm sure you can smell the emissions from these machines like a half a block away, you can smell them. So they're definitely, they're out there, but I know I didn't really answer your question. Go ahead.
No, that was basically just the question, which is, you definitely saw the leaf blowers in action, and you heard them. And I'm just wondering, how much are we saving? How much are we taking out by, moving this? And I agree with Patty. I'm wondering if people already have the battery packs, or, perhaps they are interchangeable, but I just don't know enough information on this.
Yeah, a couple of points. One is that we can regulate on noise because that is something that is under local control. That is because it's noise is local. It doesn't travel. But we can't regulate on other pollutions like the smell of the gas because that does travel. And so that's a federal standard rather than a community standard. So if the weed whackers are noisy, then that is a reason for us to ban them. But if they are polluting in other ways with their two-stroke engines, then that's not our job. We can't do that.
Right. So if we were to ban them, we would have to ban on what reason could we say that they're just noisy?
Well, I suppose obnoxious smell is all right because that's a local thing. But it gets uncomfortably close to the noxious chemicals that powered leaf blowers emit.
Well, I mean, everything counts. You know what I mean? Yes, the leaf blowers was a major thing that we have accomplished. And by the way, Montgomery County is inches away from banning it very shortly. So,
yeah,
and the state of California has banned all two-stroke engine landscaping equipment, is my understanding. So I think it's definitely behooves us to consider this for our town. I mean, anything that's not good for our health, we should just try to focus on. Even if it's small or large, just because it's less than the gas powered leaf blowers doesn't mean that we should not consider it. Because keep in mind that what we're doing is not just about us. It's about we were part of a piggybacking event from DC to Chevy Chase Village to us, now to the Montgomery County, and also the state of Maryland actually I think they're about to pass a law saying that the state is no longer able to use gas powered leaf blowers. So I mean, that's huge. I mean, it's not as great as what Montgomery County is about to do, but everything we do has a piggyback effect around the country and around the world for that matter. So when you think about these things that we're bringing up, just please remember that we're not just talking about our town. We're thinking about a much larger picture. So anyway, it's 9:05. I know we started late. It sounds like maybe we don't want to make a motion about this weed whacker thing yet. I don't feel any strong feeling about it either. But at least I can ask everyone just to think about what I said and consider that. I guess I want to informally just sort of welcome Patty to our committee. I'm really excited that she's with us. So thank you, Patty.
You're welcome.
It's really awesome because I know you're such a wonderful part of our group anyway already, and now you get to raise your hand with meaning. Should we just there was one other thing that I was asked by the safety committee about sidewalk safety and keeping the sidewalks clear of debris, and I was asked to sort of bring it up to the committee. I don't know whether you guys have any thoughts about that, about whether or not our sidewalks are not safe enough, or people are not cutting back their bushes well enough, or want to chime in about this.
Well, it
Well-
is clear that some people are not cutting back their shrubs well enough, and so parts of the sidewalk are difficult to walk on, but more difficult to push a stroller on or to push a wheelchair on. Yes.
But is it within our purview?
Is it in our purview?
Parks and
Um,
Water Resources has been taking this up for quite some time. I think they just want support on it.
Okay.
mhm. Okay. Kumar, you want to share some of your thoughts?
Yeah, thanks. No, I was just gonna say, following up on what Patty said, it was PNRC that actually kind of initiated that, but the Public Safety Committee kind of supported that as well. So it was really PNRC's idea.
Okay. Hey, Robin, what is your feelings about, this environment committee making a recommendation to the town council? I mean, what is that? What is the power of that as far as, what can be done? I mean, I remember Jeffrey Slavin asking me, 5 or 10 years ago, hey, your bushes, because we have these holly bushes that were just pushing out and taking over and he told me, I said, okay, you're right. And I cut them way back. So that's my little story. But what's your feeling about, your thoughts about how we can manage this issue?
Well, PNRC has some recommendations for how to do it. Maybe they should share actually with the other committees. If Kumar, has they shared their recommendation with you or not?
They shared their budget request with me, and I think they were asking for $10,000 for, I mean, their plan was that the town would first publicize it, and then the town would actually cut back the offending bushes. And so he
Right.
was asking the council to appropriate $10,000 for that.
Right.
I don't
So-
think they've made an actual recommendation to the council yet on it. It was just a budget, part of their budget request.
Yeah. So, but that is what they intend to do. That is that the town should basically cut back the shrubs if the owners are not doing that.
Oh, so just add budget to the town budget to allow for this, for the town maintenance guys to do it where necessary.
Yeah. That was the thought, yes. And the town has that authority, actually.
Once it's on above the sidewalk, it's public property. You know what I mean? If your neighbor's tree has branches leaning into your property, you have the right to go up there and cut it off. Right?
Yeah. Right, correct. Yes, it becomes your property once it is on your property, and it becomes public property when it's on public property. Yes.
Right. Okay, so I'm asking you, Robin, again, do you see there's any additional power, or is it good for the Environment Committee to weigh in and make a recommendation that to support the PNRC?
Well, if the committee believes that it's appropriate, then yes, of course. It's a question of, do you see it as within your mission?
Okay, well, what do you guys think, committee members, whether this is within our purview?
I don't think so.
2 no's.
I don't think so.
Okay, well, that's pretty clear.
All right.
Okay, guys.
Actually, I see the solar panel town project.
Oh,
Is there
yeah.
any news on that?
Yes, yes, and yes. Thank you, Dave. This is very exciting news. There's a couple things. First of all, I met with Jim from Celestial, and you can chime in too, Robin, but Celestial is a solar company that the town council is considering using to do this project. And they have a budget of about $50,000 right now for this project. Okay. Right now, I've met with Jim twice, and he's done a survey on the pool house roof and has determined, not yet determined, but pretty certain, because I was up on the roof too to see that roof, the top part of the roof, which is then farther north and away from the tree line, which is to the south, that's a very feasible place to put solar panels. And he said that we could do maybe, upwards to 60 plus panels there. As far as the town hall is concerned, and that, keep in mind, would have a much faster ROI, return on investment, because it's part of the DC grid. It's south of Dorset Avenue, so it gets like $400+ per SREC, which would make an ROI of about like 8 or 9 years, or maybe 7 or 8 years. He's going to bring that actual number. So that's actually, and that would offset about 20% of the electricity usage of the pool. Keep in mind that the pool uses most of its electricity during the summer months, which is when the solar panels will be producing most of its energy for the pool. So you can't take energy from the solar panels and commingle it with another one of the other 3 meters that our town uses. It has to be isolated for that meter. So it works out perfectly for the pool. For the town, I think he said that using the town hall's roof structure and possibly a part that would be the west end of the garage, after, if we choose to replace the roof there, because you need a new roof for this installation, that could be upwards to like 70% of the offset of the electricity used by the town hall. So the thing about it is I think the project at the town hall would be something like 50 to 60,000, and then that pool would be $70,000 or 70 plus. So that together it'd be more like $140,000 project. And the town hall would have an ROI, since it's in Maryland, it would be more like I think like 14 years ROI. So this is the information that I've been given so far, and they put off the discussion of it, of moving forward with this project this month, and wait till next month so that they can see this proposal more clearly. And then the one last thing I'll just say is that the town, had a budget of like for the streets and sidewalks for snow removal, which was quite substantial. I think it was like upwards to like $85,000 to $90,000, which will probably not be used at all. So potentially that might be something that the town council might consider using for the solar project. But that's, Robin, do you want to add to any of that?
Yeah,
Please.
right. The originally Celestial came in only with the town hall, and it's only when we went back to them for their best and final offers that they came up with a plan for the pool too. I think we're probably going to go with Celestial. The other company just felt fly by night when you read their proposal. It was they wanted to not just cover the town hall roof, but to put solar panels on the ground as well, which got to be a little bit strange at the town hall, shall we say. So the issue is whether the council is going to buy into putting the panels on the pool as well, given the extra cost. That's what it boils down to.
Any other comments? Go ahead, Dave.
I know this is probably late in the game to ask this question, but has the battery storage been considered as part of the installation?
No, I don't think. The thing about it is that it's the offset is still well below the 100% usage, so it would be used pretty much immediately. Now, and if it's not, you would get credits. These SRECs give us credits, like the winter time.
I mean, it's wired directly into the Pepco system, so that it is calculated by Pepco as how much off your bill has come down, in terms of
Right.
You must know this, Dave, right?
It's net energy metering.
Yeah,
right.
The reason why I was asking, is there has been, especially in California, there has been some examples of some community centers or community buildings or town halls that had, solar plus batteries. that we're able to serve as a cooling site, or for people to come and charge their cell phones during blackouts and things like that. So there is some ancillary benefits besides the reliability that can be done if you add batteries to a solar facility. So I just would recommend, it may be too late in the game to bring it up, but I think batteries and solar at this point are becoming almost many of the installations that are going in are a combination of the two.
I know we're getting late, so I'd like to bring this to a close, but Matt did tell me that the town has started the process of buying one of those electric trucks for next year. They're getting themselves in line. And with that, Matt said he's interested in, revisiting the idea of bringing electric EV charging stations to the tennis court parking lot there. So that's sort of, did I say that correctly, Robin?
Yeah, but that's more than I know actually. But yeah, we had plans for the electric truck, and I remember in the discussions over the EV charging stations, the electric truck for the town did come up, but they didn't pass under the old council. They might pass under the new council.
And if you can plug the town hall into the F-150 Lightning and be able to power the town hall.
Thank you. Yes, you can.
Yeah. So you'd have a mobile battery with this truck,
right,
as well, which is sort of a partial answer to what you just said. But
yes,
just a thought. This is the way things are going. This is the
Yeah.
new modern, way people are designing these. Just curious.
okay, guys, thank you for staying a little bit late since we started late. Ralph, do you want to say last comment?
Quick question. The cutlery, plastic cutlery and plates and things. Did the town council go with our recommendation on that?
Robin?
Yeah, single-use plastics is the generic term for it, and it was at town events we would no longer use single-use plastics. Is basically
Perfect.
how it.
Good, thank you.
Awesome, guys. Well done, everybody.
Well done.
Have a nice evening. Ralph, I'll send you that. Thank you for doing the minutes again, Ralph.
You bet. I'll be sure I have them done within the
Can you
next.
give Patty 2 minutes on the nature playground?
Oh,
Sure.
nothing's really been finalized, but it's very much in the preliminary stage. But I just wanted you all to know that there's in the works this idea that there could be a nature playground, a playground with using natural materials, logs and whatnot, for small kids, toddlers, and then potentially, depending on what we build, something for older kids as well. And we're looking into different sites and where it should be. And I think it's a really cool idea. Just want to let you know that it's happening.
That is awesome. You talking about in the forest somewhere, or?
Well, it could be by the town hall. It could be in the park, by the basketball court. It could be by the pool in the woods. We actually had a consultant come in and walk through various sites. The gardener that the town has contracted with is interested in doing it possibly, or there's somebody who's very fancy who's done things at like Sidwell and lots of private schools, but they're very expensive, but they're beautiful. But
So you're not talking about just sort of bringing logs, but actually creating sort of like ponds and stuff and sort of.
No, it wouldn't be water. That would be too complicated, but
Okay.
It depends on who does it and what they have in mind. My initial thought was it would just be, logs that people can jump from place to place. And, they have like tunnels made out of willow and things like that you can do.
That's so cool.
There probably have to be a fundraising effort because it would, cost, tens of thousands of dollars potentially.
Do you want to talk about it at our next meeting? A little bit more details?
There's nothing going on yet. So
Okay.
yes, when something comes up with PNRC, I'll let you know and we can put it on the agenda.
Okay. I didn't mean to forget about it from
No,
this
it's okay.
agenda, Patty. Sorry about that. I just was trying to
PNRC hasn't really met in many, many months, so
Right.
it's a little behind.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Thanks again.